Hi guys, this is Debbie with Debbie J's Crafting Corner. Welcome back to my channel. Today's video is part of the 1,000 subscribers hop and giveaway for Annalisa G of Faith Dream Create cards. Each of us will be creating a card using heat embossing, and it's going to be so much fun. Who doesn't love heat embossing? That is Annalisa's favorite technique, so we're going to be honoring her and using some heat embossing. Another thing about this video is that as I mentioned, it is part of a subscriber hop and giveaway. So there is a giveaway on this one. She will be giving away a $30 Simon Says Stamp gift card, and it can go internationally. So all of my folks over in the UK and Australia and Canada, be sure to enter. To enter, you do need to watch and comment on all of the hop videos, and of course we love your comments and thumbs up. Also, Kendra from Cards from Kendra will be giving away on her channel one of her card kits. They can only go internationally due to shipping. We do encourage you to watch all of the videos for all of the rules, because each video could add on their own giveaway, and you won't know what the rules for that are unless you listen closely. So I'm going to go ahead and get started on my card. I'm planning on using this stamp set rather, from MFT, from My Favorite Things. It is abstract art. I have got my stamp platform from My Sweet Petunia. I've got my Misty here, and I'm planning on making actually multiple cards using some stamps from this stamp set. As you can tell, they all kind of look like paint swatches or paint drips or something like that. And I thought it might be fun to have some multiple colors all embossed and down for that extra texture. So we're going to see how it goes. Starting off with, let me get this in here straight. Starting off with this one that looks kind of like just a light brush from a brush. And I'm going in with some of my Catherine Pooler ink. This one is Party Dress. And I think that looks good. So what I'm going to do in between each is just cover them in embossing powder. And then once I get finished with this first layer of stamping, I will go ahead and heat all of those up so I can get it all done at once. And since this is WOW embossing powder, it's not as vital to use your embossing buddy, but if you're using any other brand, they usually have a lot of static, so you want to make sure to use your embossing buddy. So this design that I've got kind of sort of in my head, and will probably change before I get done, is basically an easy one to be able to do some mass producing. Okay, so I've got a bunch of those stamped out for that first color, and I'm just going to hit them with my heat tool. So next I'm going to stack them all up, brush off any excess powder that just happens to be hanging around. I'm going to stack all of my panels up again, just like I started off with, and then put another stamp in there in a different place. I am using my magnet to make sure that that stays put, and you could always use the same stamp if you wanted to for that. So next, I think I'm going to go with this one because it's kind of cool. And I think last time I used it, I had embossing ink on it because it is a little bit slippery. And for this one, I think I'm going to go with some All That Jazz. It's just kind of a little bit of a contrast. And I'll do the same thing that I did before and cover that in some embossing powder while it's nice and wet. And then move on to the next. Next, I'm going to use some Tutti Frutti. So far this looks like somebody just was playing with a paintbrush, I think. I like that look. That's what I was going for. So let's see if I can get these finished up and add that sentiment and vocal image to the front. So for the sentiment, I decided I want to have it lined up just like it is on the acetate. So what I'm doing is I'm lining it back up on the back side. And then I'm going to layer it there because I'm going to do 2 of them on this one. I've got 5 panels, so I do need a few of these. So pick it up and then remove the printed acetate, and we are good to go. And I'm going to clean off some of this excess ink off of this. And now I'm going to stamp it down in some VersaFine Clear, which I'm going to then heat emboss in clear embossing powder, just like I did the rest of the panels. So that looks good, and now I just need to shift it over a bit. Bring that up to about the 6, and that should be perfectly positioned, and then I can heat emboss both of these at the same time. I was going to leave these guys just plain white, but I think I do need a little bit of color added onto them before they go onto those panels, although there's lots of color on the panels. So I'm going to use my GY colors. When I think of a crayon box, I think of it from when I was a kid, and they were basically this like yellowy orange color, so this is a perfect color to go along with it. So I'm putting in GY2 because I do want everything to stay pretty light. GY2 is going to be my dark shade. And then I'm going to come back in with GY1, assuming that this is refilled correctly, because it was a little bit dry. And we will go and see how that's going to look. If that one doesn't work, I've got some other markers that should work fine with this. So I'm just adding this in kind of as the shading. And when you're using your alcohol markers, you do want to be a little careful around all of the embossing, because it could, I haven't had it happen, but it could damage your nib. And I may come in for the inside of the lid with a little bit darker. Just have to see how it looks when I get done. I do think that one needs to be a little darker. So let's try the GY3, which is the next shade in. And that's not quite dark enough, so one more time, let's try GY4. Okay, yeah, that one looks dark enough, like it's in shadow inside the box. Because it would be darker inside the lid than it would be pretty much anywhere else. Okay, let's see how this one's doing. That looks pretty good. Now it is faster to put down some color with the chisel nib, but that also means going over some of the embossing without really being as careful as I was mentioning. So I am going to be careful, especially around all of the words, because I don't want to mess up any of that. And depending on how well I did my embossing, there's always a possibility that it could smear, but that's usually only because I didn't put enough embossing powder down. But I think that looks pretty good. So next I am cutting out all of my little crayon boxes. I thought I was going to like it best with all of the white cut off, and then I decided over the top I kind of like that little bit of white around it to kind of pull it away from the background. So I'm going to cut the rest of these out. Well, I did. I cut the rest of these out, leaving that little pop of white that makes it look more like a die cut. And this is a really easy image to fussy cut. It doesn't take any kind of time because of all of those straight lines. Probably the hardest part would be to make sure you don't go too far in around the actual crayons. But this pair of scissors, I love them. They come up, it's like I just basically position where I want it and it cuts all the way to the edge. I do have some scissors that, although it looks like it's cutting to the edge, it doesn't, so it's really hard to gauge. So it really depends on yours. And I just got these because my mother-in-law back in November when I went to visit, she had some of these and it's like, oh my god, these work so awesome. one other thing I've noticed is these titanium Fiskars scissors. They are titanium and they don't tend to have anything stick to them, which is nice because you guys know I love my foam tape. So next I'm going to trim down my panels because I want to have that pop of color around it. These are white panels. I'm going to put them onto a blue card base, and I need to have that border, so I need to cut them down a little bit. This one's already been cut down. So the way this is going to go, I think I'm going to put foam tape on both. This is a little bit warped, so let's start off with that. I'm going to just put some foam tape on here. That way the foam tape will help it to flatten out on my card. Actually, I have been using my foam tape a lot lately and using adhesive on them every time, but that's just one trick. If you want to make sure that you have enough time to get them put in place and have it straight, using liquid adhesive on top of your foam is a great option. Another option is to use your release paper on your tape basically as a little handle so that you can position one end exactly where you want it, if you can see. But you can position one end exactly where you want it and move it around a little bit to get it straight before you press any of it down. And I'm going to bring it over here to the white so I can see what I'm doing. Okay, so that looks pretty straight, so I'll go with that. And then you just pull out the rest of your release paper and you've got your panel perfectly positioned where you want it. Next I'm going to add a little foam tape to the back of my crayon box. And I think I like it right in the middle, so I'm going to pop that down right in the center. I have to decide how much of the other color do I want to show in the back, because that orange really isn't showing much, but that's okay. So that kind of looks, I think it looks cute. The whole idea was somebody was playing messily. We had a crafter in their craft room making a mess there. I think I am going to probably add some bling or something to it, though it's probably not necessary with all the embossing, but let me go ahead and put the rest of these together and then I'll decide what to do with that. You knew it was going to happen. I have to add a little extra bling. So I'm using the Tinkerbell Sequin Mix from Cat Scrappiness. And this actually was in the box of the month from Not Too Shabby. You guys know I was working with that last month. And that also came with that cute little triangle tray. So that is awesome. So what I'm doing is just adding a few little sequins down. And it's going to be, I think this is the perfect finishing touch. This card turned out super cute. So I have a card sketch available for you over on my blog that you can get for free, so be sure to check that out. There's going to be a link in the description box down below. So anyway, I'll be sure to check out all of the other videos in the hop because I know they'll have a lot of inspirational projects for you to see. There's a link down in the description. I'm actually going to put a link to all of the videos just in case you get lost so that you'll have somewhere to go to. Also, if you want to see some more videos where I'm making cards, be sure to check out my playlist here. You guys have a wonderful day, and remember, if I can make it, you can too. See you next time.